Welcome to the Uncle Hack Podcast, where dudes pretty much just talk dude shit.
Welcome back to the Uncle Hack Podcast. How are you? Good, great, grand, beautiful. Tonight, if you are in Calgary, that's right. What is today? I don't even know the date. The 27th, 28th, whatever it is. On the Thursday, if you're listening to this when it's released and you are in Calgary, I will be at Yuck Yucks at the Elbow River Casino doing some stand-up comedy. So if you're in the city, definitely come on out. There is limited capacity, so I don't know if the show, currently the show is not sold out. And if you're bored in Calgary, definitely come on out. Should be an exciting night. Your headliner is Jason Rouse, which will coincidentally be our guest for next week on the Uncle Hack Podcast. It's me versus Sam Walker in a showcase. Sam Walker, veteran of the game. You know, this is a McGregor versus Mayweather battle. And obviously, your boy's McGregor. But I'm going into this with blood on my mind. You know, this is a blood sport. Me and Sam, do we know each other? No. Do we look similar? Yes. We both look like we walked off the same porno set with one another in some sort of fucked up incest porn, like where two-step bros fuck their auntie, you know. That's what, but both men are gorgeous. If you want to see two gorgeous men with just excellent choice of hairstyles, as well, on top of that, beautiful mustaches, one attempting comedy, one is a veteran in the game, go head to head in a fucking battle. Definitely come on down to Yuck Yucks. Should be a good time. And your headliner is fucking phenomenal, by the way. Today on the show, what do I got for you? Later, we're going to talk about these Canadian isolation camps because I can't, like, all I'm hearing from these conspiracy theorists is like, oh, what about the isolation camps? And I'll give you my hot take on it. I'll tell you what I'm thinking about these isolation camps. But first off, I think we need to pay some respects to a legend who just passed away, Joey Moss. Joey Moss just recently passed away this week, and I don't think that Edmonton has felt a bigger, like a slump like that, you know? Find me a more patriotic man that sings the anthem. You know, that guy amps up the fellas. So we here feel on this show, being I am the producer, the writer, editor, everything of it, feel we need to pay the respects to a great Canadian. That guy's up there with the greats easily. You know, Joey Moss is a beautician. You see him around the rink. If you've ever been to Rexall or Rogers, you've seen him in there belting the anthem. He's singing that thing like it's the last time he's ever going to sing the anthem. And it's a goddamn shame. This year has taken away too many fucking greats. Way too many greats. You know, it's you know, Joey Moss, Eddie Van Halen, Christ. Who's next? You know, the dude. I can't think of his actual name, but you know what I'm talking about. The dude just came down with the big C. Like this. Why can't we just wipe out the politicians? You know, why can't the politicians just get wiped off the fucking planet? Instead, you're just taking beauties away from us. This year sucks. And we all of us already know that. Like, this year is just basically like a drunk trailer park mom trying to help their son or daughter, help their kids with fucking homework. That's what this is. That's what this year is. I said this on the Patreon episode, and I'm going to touch on it just briefly because we're not going to do the same content twice, but I'm just saying this year is definitely like a drunk trailer park mom trying to help their kids with the homework. That's what this is. You know, first, mom's a little excited, gets to help her child for once, and then realizes like very quickly. And in the beginning, it exactly what it is. We're all in this together. I'm going to help you out, son. I'm going to help you figure out this problem, and we're going to find the solution together. And as time passes, you're just like, well, first off, you're beating the shit out of pots and pans out on your balcony. And then you're screaming, you know, clapping and screaming for the 16-year-old stocking the shelves at a Save on Foods. Now, you fast forward to about this present time, and you're looking at this like, fuck it. I don't care. I just need a drink. I don't give a shit about the solution to this problem. Fuck everybody else. Fuck this kid, for one. He can figure it out himself. Mom's on her own. Mom needs a drink. That's where we're at, I think, personally. We're over it. Nobody gives a shit anymore, especially Alberta. Alberta is just keeping it fucking real, I'll say. You know, we're like, hey, what we're going to do, we're going to limit gatherings to 15 people. We're going to limit gatherings to 15 people, but schools pack the fucking kids in there 50, 60 deep, you know? And I don't know if I should respect that decision. I think there's like a little, like, that fat fuck Jason Kenney seems to have a plan behind this. I think he's up to something here. You know, it's not like the oil patch isn't what it used to be. We're not just pumping out kids out of kids aren't coming out of high school and immediately going to become a laborer out in Fort Mac or Grand Prairie or somewhere up north and clearing about $500,000 a year. Those days are far gone. So I think he sees that. And all this oil money's pulling out and going back down south to Texas where it came from, or companies are gobbling up other companies and just slashing jobs by the minute. So he's like, well, fuck, you know, this province only produces gender studies majors and welders. So we're going to nip it in the bud, you know. We're just going to make a COVID hotbed out of elementary schools and just nip this in the bud. We don't need more welders or women screaming in the streets about, you know, how they feel insuperior in the workplace. We just don't need that right now. Or how a non-binary should be on a fucking piece of plastic, aka your driver's license. We're just done hearing that. Nobody can work. Nobody gives a fuck anymore. So that old choir boy, Jason Kenney, just decided, you know what? We don't give a shit. I figured a solution to this problem nice and early. What we're going to do is just open the schools up. Open up the school board or open up the schools and pack these fuckers in about 100 deep in a classroom. We'll also slash contracts with the school division so that way there's only like one or two teachers that are kicking around. And then when, you know, those kids and those teachers die, we have some replacements. You know, we got some second string teachers sitting in the backfield there waiting for their call up. And that's a power move I think he's trying to accomplish here. I think that, I don't think he thinks at all. I think this is just, you know, we're basically the Florida of Canada right now. And then to a degree, you know, we're not full on Florida, but we're nipping at the bud, you know. We're getting our toes in that ocean water, so to speak, to play on the whole Florida thing, you know. Yeah, it's quite the time to be alive. Like, we're just a bunch of drunken sailors with no fucking idea where we're going with this goddamn thing, and it's beautiful. I love seeing it. You know, you love to see it. It's, oh man, it's just a damn shame. But one thing I will say is there's some beautiful characters being produced out of this. Nothing I love more than the conspiracy theorists that just come out and have these lunatic thoughts. And the funny thing that I noticed with all of it is it's always like conservative dudes that hop on these conspiracy theories. Most of them. It's the lunatic conservative dudes that think that Bill Gates is creating a virus that's just looking to drop us all in the street. Whether it's true or not, but it's always the blue collar dudes. You know what I mean? It's a conversation piece. We don't have sports. We don't give a fuck about sports. If NHL was firing up right now, we'd be talking about where the fuck is Taylor Hall going to go? You know what I mean? Where the fuck are these guys going to play How is this going to happen? And that's just not the case right now. We're bored. We need something to gamble on and occupy our minds. And it just so happens to be that we suddenly all give a shit about what happened in Jeffrey Epstein's temple. Who the hell was going there? Bill Clinton was in there with a female's dress on, wiggling his cock to Lady Gaga. That's what we're all going with. That's my conspiracy theory. And then that's where it went downhill, because he had that on videotape, and they're like, well, Billy boy, I already got you with one thing. What's taking it to the next level? Get a massage by a 13-year-old. Who cares? And then we get bored and we talk about it at work when it's something we can't even do fuck all about. You know what I mean? I'm to the point where I just don't give a shit. I don't care anymore. You know, I'm the drunk mom helping the kid with the homework. I started out, I'm like, oh yeah, I kind of give a shit about this. And then as time went on, I'm like, I don't give a fuck, you know? I'm all for throwing some COVID hotbeds in these old folks' homes. You know what I mean? Like, let's ramp this up. Let's get the brush fire going. Let's just Fort Mac the motherfucker. No disrespect to Fort Mac. It was the first forest fire I could really think of. And it's, you know, nothing bad there. You know, it's just a reference. Don't take it out of context. I'm not trying to shit on the city. I love Fort Mac. I've had numerous good times up there. Great people. Teddy fucking Ash, baby. That's the Phoenix from the ashes right there, baby. Be happy to see him. Hopefully he lands himself a UFC contract. We got Bozer fighting on the 7th. That's something to look forward to. Fighting Andre Arlovsky. You know, shout out to Bozer. Wow. What a career on the guy. 3 straight, going for his 3rd straight KO, I should say. 2 back-to-back Damien guys in the best shape I've ever seen him as a friend and as a fan of him in MMA. He's looking deadly right now, and I'm stoked to see him tear it up in the UFC. In top 15 in the world? Can you fucking fist where I shit? Are you kidding me? Wow, that's an accomplishment. Most of us are just sitting around in a chair yapping into a microphone to other deadbeats that aren't doing fuck all with our lives either. And we're okay with that, aren't we? You know, we don't give a shit. We're just having a few drinks, enjoying life while we can before this virus absolutely sweeps the human race off the planet. That's what we're doing right now. And while we're doing that, we're going to be cheering on Tanner Bozer as he takes on Andre Arlovsky November 7th. UFC did not pay me enough to do this promo. In fact, they didn't pay me at all. I'm doing it pro bono. You know, this is the 69th ranked podcast on the planet. Self-proclaimed. It's actually like, I don't know. I think, you know what? I'm going to take a super niche category that I know that we're ranked very high in. So that way it sounds like this podcast is bigger than what it is. But we are actually, I think, ranked 27th or 17th. I can't remember. In comedy interviews, as I'm interviewing myself in Canada. Comedy interviews in Canada, number 17. Super niche, keep in mind, but very big. Small flex on you. Small flex on you. We're doing it in the big times. This is the talk show that people come to have their brains just leak brain cells out of their nostrils because you don't learn a fucking thing. And in fact, I think you possibly might be dumber after an hour of listening to this bullshit. And that's your fault, not mine, for turning this on. You know, at the end of the day, all I'm doing is throwing a little content out there. And I'm praising my buddy while I'm doing it. You know, I'm going to ride his coattails for a minute and hopefully, pray to God, pray to the goddamn heavens that this goes somewhere. Somewhere bigger than the number 17th podcast on all-time comedy interviews. You know what I mean? That's the plan. I'm excited to watch that fight. I'm excited to see him. I hope he just dices him up early and just puts a staple on his fucking name. I mean, that's gonna boost him up in the rankings. Currently ranked, 15th right now in the UFC? That's incredible. That's an accomplishment. Jesus Christ. I mean, it's no Tabor minor hockey MVP. It's no, you know, like I get it. I fought a little MMA too. I mean, I have a record of 6-4. It's nothing, you know, like time for a little ad. Time for a little ad. Guess what? You want an extra episode of this podcast? Boom. Go to patreon.com/dangercat69. You'll get 2 extra episodes a month. That's right. Plus, you will get this episode that you're listening to 48 hours early. That's right. Every episode that I launch on social media or podcast hosting apps and YouTube will be in audio form 48 hours prior to everywhere else. So you get it early, plus extra episodes. And there's also nudity. Now, for the fun part, use the promo code HACK10 at dangercatshop.com and receive 15% off your order. Did I say HACK10? I meant HACK15. Use the code HACK15 for 15% off your order at dangercatshop.com. Forgive me, I'm a moron. Back to the show. I get it. Tanner probably wants to be in my shoes, but you know, only one of us can be a multi-sport athlete and successful at both, I may add. And shout out to you guys for creating a little bit of an uproar down there. Probably one of the funniest things I've ever thought of. And then to have people back it up and then go and tweeting the town and kind of harassing them. That was hilarious, by the way. They tweeted me back. There was one gentleman that took time out of his day to email them, find the proper contact. They called the town. They called the town of Tabor to get the information needed to get into contact of who runs the Tabor Sports Hall of Fame, and then emailed, called, had a conversation, and was a polite person, I guess, over the phone with, I'm not going to say her name, or you know what, we don't assume genders, so I'm not going to assume their name, okay, or I'm not going to assume their gender and say their name, okay? But yeah, he called, got all the information. He got the form to fill out. I think it's hilarious. So shout out to that guy. I can't remember his name, but I've chatted with him a little bit online, and I thought that was phenomenal. I'm glad to see that people also recognize that it's a goddamn shame that a multi-sport athlete, you know what, I get some guys that they dove in they put their chips all in one basket, made the NHL. 2 guys made the NHL. Brandon Davidson, Devin Setaguchi. I should be neck and neck with them. Neither of them have that plaque hanging on the wall. Neither of them have that Tabor MVP plaque hanging on their wall. Sponsored by a trailer park. You can't get more small town than that. That is beautiful. That's the best thing about the plaque, is that a trailer park sponsored that. You ever heard of that? You do. The only thing better would be if like it came with a 6-pack of Busch Light. They're like handing us a 17-year-old kid, be like, congratulations, you know, you're a generational athlete. We see big things out of you. Here's a pack of Marlboro Reds or Export A Golds. Enjoy yourself. You're a champion. Go out, enjoy yourself, and enjoy this. You know, soak it in. This is something that most young teenagers strive to have hanging on their wall, and you did it, okay? You did it. Out of the 27 kids that play on this fucking team, you were the one that we chose. It's not like going to the big city, you know? And to shine out of 27 people is pretty much impossible. I don't know if you've accounted to or applied yourself to anything to be rewarded for the outcome of your actions in that sport. I don't know that. I don't know you shit from Cheyenne, nor do I care. But what I do care is the fact that I get recognized in the Tabor Sports Hall of Fame, and it's you guys. Remember, this is not my win. This is our win. This is our win as a community with this podcast. And when we get that, there's going to be a celebration. If I get that Hall of Fame entry, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the inductee, if I'm an inductee in there and we win, you're all invited to the acceptance. I don't know what it's. I don't know the name of what are we called? Whatever it may be. The award ceremony. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Wow, what a big word that you could not think of and string together. How pathetic. See, that's why I was an athlete, not a scholar. That's why I put my chips down on becoming an athlete because, well, as you can tell, speaking in big words are not my forte, if you will. And that's why I doubled down by going in and being the MVP and being just skilled enough to outshine 27 other kids in a town of 7,000 people. That's an accomplishment, gentlemen. That's an accomplishment. Waking up and being the man I was supposed to be at 17 years old and having myself a nice ice cold one before I went to school, spark up a jet and hit the fucking road. You know what I mean? I got books to hit, and then I got to hit the ice later that night and show these guys why I'm deserving of the Sports Hall of Fame in the future. You know, it's years to come. Years to come. Or years to follow of my name echoing in the streets. You know, I'm appalled that there's not a statue there. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. At least a wooden one. Somebody get to whittling. I know nobody's doing fuck all. Nobody's working right now. Cut a fucking tree down, or hell, fucking grab one of the ones growing in the goddamn park in that town. Get your chainsaw out and whittle my mug in there. Whittle my mug in there. Let it be known that even you know you respect the drip. It's a damn shame. You know, it's the oil patches in the shitter. The farming industry shut down. I mean, we're going into winter. There's nothing but time. I'm sure one of you has the time on their fucking hands to go down there and whittle a nice statue of your boy. You know what I mean? I don't even care if you just staple a picture to the fucking tree. It's just a matter of getting out of the house and showing the respects to a generational athlete in that fucking town. Disgusting. And that's the place I come from, you know? No respect. No respect. I praise the town. I praise the town as the shithole it is, you know? Hey, who doesn't want to go to a town that has 18 Chinese food restaurants, 3 bars, and endless amounts of pizza joints, you know? Like every small town in Alberta. Who doesn't want to be there? Who does not want to be there to whine and bitch and complain over the fact that they don't have the street sweepers out in fucking the moment the snow melts? You know, somebody needs to be there. Somebody needs to be constantly like in the town's ear. First off, I should fucking run for office down there to prove a point that I am a man of the people. Disgusting. Disgusting. It's awful. It's awful. It's just it's a sick feeling in your stomach. You know, you go out in the world and you try to be somebody and put that town on the map. Instead, that's all we produce. Alcoholic has-beens. That's all we produce. And that's not a shot at anybody but myself. I don't even think anybody from Tabor listens to this podcast. And that's a shame. That's a shame. The whole fucking town should be tuning in at every Thursday at 3 p.m. They should shut it down and project that fucker on a goddamn screen at Town Center. And we'll shut the town down for an hour. And you just tune into this podcast to see what's going on with the most notable character to come out of that fucking place. Next to Core Blonde. I'll pay my respects to a better man. Great musician. But is he donning plaques from the Tabor Minor Hockey, sponsored by a fucking trailer park? I don't think so. So, throw me on the Wikipedia page. Have a full write-up. I think that, you know, other than the sad news that has come out, that's come out of there, I think that it's time that we all get on the same page. I think it's time we all get to page 69, chapter 420, and really start figuring this out, okay? That's problem numero uno. Next, we'll get to cleaning up some of the shit around town. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to clean up these streets, baby. It's time to get at me, dog. Makes me sick. makes me sick. Just the people. I'd be there for the people. You know what I mean? Like, and then I think over time I'd let a little corruption get to me. There's probably there's rich people in a small town. There's always like 6 guys that run everything. You know what I mean? They own everything and then like secretly employ, and then they play politics behind the scene. It's just like boiled down to a base of like the world stage, and then you get like provincial, maybe statewide, and then you get down to like a big city, the politics are there, and then like a small town, it's just a drop in the ocean. And then you have these characters that all like eat, live, breathe shit this fucking town. Leave a little bit and they, you know, popping into businesses. How are things going in here? How are things going in here? And then they go down to the same place for lunch every day. It's just like a weird thing. It's like the Italian mob without no violence. It's just hilarious to me. It's funny to think in my head, and I'm trying to express it in the best way I can possible. But it like a small town just has the funniest shit going. There's nothing ever going on, so you got to make your own fun. Like all the dumb shit you did as a child in a small town outweighs everything a city can offer. And the sense of community down there is just a bunch of morons really trying to figure out life. That's the funniest part. Trying to figure out life. Nobody really travels. You just like everybody meets in the Tim Hortons parking lot, or there's like a parking lot that all the kids meet up and they'll beat the shit out of one another, smoke cigarettes, and then try and figure out where's the party. It's not like a big city that just offers so much, and then you're like, oh, I'm bored. No, you literally had to make your own fun. Like I can recall times like what's a good one? I remember recalling times where we're just sitting around and we'd have an idea, and then it'd spark, and then it just turns into mayhem very fast. Like it'd be like, hey, did you hear that I'm not going to say names, but I'll make up Willie. Did you hear that Willie jumped his truck down King Cooley? What did we call it? It was called Death something. I can't remember. There's a coulee outside of town that everybody would go mud bogging, and there would always be somebody that'd have to level up. You know, if you jumped your truck 10 feet, the next guy's going 20, then 30, and then we're going to hit it at 100 kilometers an hour. How nobody died, I don't know, and it's kind of sad. You know, a good death to wake you up doesn't hurt. I'm kidding. I don't want to see anybody die, nor do I. I'm over here talking like, let's let this virus just brush through the fucking world. And, you know, actually, that's a fucking lie. That's a lie. I don't give a shit. Like I was saying before, I am the drunk mom coming home with the homework. At first, I gave a fuck. I'm getting totally off topic, but we're going with this right now. At first, I came home, right? I came home, half snapped. I'm trying to help you out with your problems and all that. And then here I am. And when I say I'm helping you out with your problems, I'm saying COVID related. I do give a shit about your mental health. I'm just saying when it comes to the world getting back to operating, I don't give a shit. Open it up. That's where I'm at. And at first I was like, yeah, I give a shit. Let's shut her down. Let's shut her down for a little bit. And now, like, it's like, oh, we need to save the elderly. We need to save the elderly. We don't want to see some old folks dying. And now I'm to the point where there's an old guy doing 35 in the fast lane, and I'm screaming into my windshield. I'm losing my mind right now. I'm being like, I don't care. Hit the fucking ditch. Get the hell out of my way. I have shit to do. But I'm screaming this into a windshield like the psychopath we are all meant to be. And I don't think I'm the only one thinking this. I'm thinking that everybody's thinking this. Clearly, because we're like, hey, fuck that, I'm going to the bar. At the beginning, I was like, yeah, you know what? Maybe don't get together. Maybe don't have parties. And now I'm like, fuck it. Where's the orgies? I don't give a shit. Let's swap some spit. Put a finger in my ass. Call me Darla for all I care. I'm done. I'm over it. If we're going to die, we're going to die. Let's go out in a fucking fury. Let's Let's spark the fire. Let's torch the bitch. Let's go out with a boom. Like, I don't want to be the guy that just, like, coasted through this and then all of a sudden I dropped dead and I didn't have any goddamn fun. At the beginning, I'm like, yeah, you know what? A good shutdown, relax, kick it at home, smoke some weed, watch some YouTube, get caught up on your Netflix, watch Tiger King, share Tiger King memes with all the moms and Facebook groups, and be like, oh, Carol Baskin started shut the fuck up. And now I'm the guy screaming and yelling about fucking open this bitch up, let the COVID run rampant. We'll whoever drops, I guess you lost. You lost the game. You lost the game. That's where I'm at. And we're all just sharing conspiracy theories, getting everybody amped up. Somehow, we as Canadians give a shit about the American election, although it will affect us in the future. But somehow, all of us now have a degree in American politics. That's what I mean. That's where boredom takes you. All of a sudden, you're giving a shit about things you never really gave a fuck about. American politics. I could give two shits about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Everybody, who are you voting for? I can't vote. Why do I care? I don't care. It's entertaining. It's entertaining as all hell. It's like when Alex Jones was on Joe Rogan's podcast, the whole world had a fucking mental breakdown. But that guy is a fucking entertainer. It's beautiful to watch. Some of the shit, and it's crazy to think how much shit he was kind of right about. And I'm not going to, he said Sandy Hook was fake. I don't know. It's horrible. Horrible event. But it's crazy how that guy can just sit there and rip off things off the top of his dome and like names, dates, all that shit. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. I can't even remember half of my friends that I had in high school's first name. I got to sit there and you remember that guy and have to explain him to somebody. That's how dumb I am as a human being and how many fucks I don't give. Especially when and the worst part is I've gotten into arguments with women. Oh, Donald Trump's a racist. Oh God, here we go. Donald Trump. Why do you care? Why do you care? First off, your prime minister did blackface. Pardon me? If we should be shooting the finger around about racism, I don't know about you, but pretty goddamn obvious. Now, don't get me wrong. I hate every single fucking one of these politicians, and I hate the fact that I got painted like this right-wing fucking lunatic right off the get-go. But again, as time goes on, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. All these conspiracy theories. It's like the Canadian isolation camps. I am all for them at this point. If they're going to be a COVID hotbed, by all means, let's ramp it up. Let's just throw as many fucking people, like a classroom. Throw as mmany goddamn people as we possibly can in the thing, and let's see what happens. And the morons that it's like a 14-day for the people that aren't in Canada. It's a 14-day isolation camp. It's not like a concentration camp. I'm pretty sure those don't exist here in Canada. Now, if you were in China, different fucking story. What it is if foreign travelers come in, then you have a place where you can go and quarantine for 14 days, and then you're able to fucking go about your day or whatever the hell you're doing. So that's what most of them are. Now, there is some conspiracy theories going around that this is, I don't know, they're rounding up people like they were in Portland, throwing them into white vans and just making them sit in this isolation camp for 14 days. I highly doubt that. We are lazy Canadians. Half the time, Canadians don't even protest. We barely protest. Have you noticed that? Everybody else is out in the streets yelling, throwing rocks at government buildings, or they're lighting shit on fire. And then we're just like, you know what, man, fuck. I'm just going to go on Facebook and share this fucking conspiracy theory about isolation camps, man, fuck. If you don't fucking believe me, then you can go fuck yourself. I don't give a fuck. That's what we do. That's what we do in Canada. And then there's 45 people that muster up the energy to go march in the streets with signs, and we're like, get the fuck out of the road. Just go on Facebook like every other normal person. Protesting in Canada is pathetic. It always has been. The most damage we ever did was the Vancouver Canucks losing in the Stanley Cup final. People just went mental and started looting and rioting. That's That's the peak. No social issue, no government protest, nothing. But if the Vancouver Canucks lose in the Stanley Cup final and they just beat the living Christ out of that city, just beat the hell out of it. That's where we are with protesting. We don't give a shit. They're like, the government's like, hey man, we're gonna fucking spy on you. All your online activity, you're like, fuck man, I'm gonna go on Facebook and fucking tell my friends in a Facebook group that Trudeau, Yagmeet Singh, Andrew Scheer, and Aaron O'Toole can fucking lick where I shit, bud. That's what I think. That's my protesting for the day anyways, buddy. Why don't we go to Tim's, bud? I fucking hate Tim Hortons. Why don't we go to Tim's, bud? That's the peak. You know, when a Canadian team loses in the Stanley Cup final, that's our peak. That's where we go bananas. That's where we sit. Now with these isolation camps, you know, it's just a bunch of wingnuts on the internet being like, did you see this shit, man? Like, fuck. Like, yeah, and like I said, if we're just going to ramp it up, I don't even care if I'm one of the guys going in that goddamn camp at this point. It seems like a good time. Get to hang out with some new people, go and have a conversation. You get to kick it for a little bit. You all got COVID, so whatever. Hopefully there's a party. Maybe they'll bring in hookers. Just a little treat on the side. I'm thinking that there'll be a charcuterie board from all these white girls that have sat around learning how to make their charcuterie boards. And best believe, if you haven't perfected baking bread at this point, I will beat you with a sourdough loaf in that isolation camp. If you hand me a loaf of bread, you've had ample practice, you had ample time to practice and perfect a loaf of bread. And if I'm in the isolation camp with you and that fucking thing isn't just mint, prestigious bread, some of the most delicious bread I haven't ate, I'm going to beat you over the skull with the sourdough, okay? I'm going to beat you senseless because you've had nothing but time to get this right down to a science. You've had nothing but time sitting in your house, fingering yourself and learning how to bake bread. So if that bread isn't just top notch, there's going to be an assault with food items. And I'll be pissed. And like I said, if I'm sitting in that isolation camp and there isn't fun games, like if we're not playing Twister, maybe a little Jenga and coughing in each other's faces just to like prove a point until we see people drop dead, I'm going to be pissed. Like I want this straight up like controlled anarchy, if you will. Just a little dose of it. I don't want to, we'll keep the violence down. Like I said, if the bread is fucking awful, someone's got to pay. Someone's got to pay. We're going to run that fucker like Chaz, okay? It's kind of a free-for-all, but somebody's running it all behind the scenes. And I don't want to be the guy heading the operation. I just want to be, like, on the board. You know what I mean? I just want to be a guy kind of throwing some decision-making tips in there. Being like, I don't know. I think Sherry's trying to, I don't know. She's been she's slacking in the charcuterie boards. I'm just saying. She's been chinsing us on the salami cuts is what I'm getting at. You know. Carol, on the other hand, nice 1/4-inch cuts. Where, what did I say her name was? Cheryl? I can't remember. But Cheryl over there doing eighth of an inch cuts. We can't be having that shit in here. That's disgusting. We're not sitting in this isolation camp eating 1/4-inch cuts of salami. Fuck that bitch. We're going to beat her with the sourdough bread. But I'm all for it. It'll clear up the roads, for those. Like if I don't get selected to go in there, great. That just means less lineups. Think of all the positives that'll happen with isolation camps, okay? If we just start rounding people up, throwing them into abandoned buildings and just kind of letting them survive like they're just like zombies on The Walking Dead that are in a locked compound, I think that would be great. Roads will be more clear, less lineups. Obviously, with capacity limited, you can't get to things. Like last weekend, I tried going to a comedy show, sold out tickets. Bullshit. If we had isolation camps, I'm sure your boy would have got in there. But no, let's ramp up the isolation camps for selfish reasons. I don't want to stand in fucking line waiting to get some goddamn Doritos at 7-Eleven and have to throw on a fucking mask every time I do it. No, I'm lazy. It's not that I'm against the virus or think it's fake or some bullshit. I'm just lazy. That's what I am. And like, I don't like to conform to rules so quickly. You know, I'll put it on because I want the chips more than I want to make a fucking political statement in a 7-Eleven with some 16-year-old kid behind the cash register making $12 an hour and doesn't give a fuck what I think or where my stance is socially or politically. He don't give a shit. So why the hell would I sit there and rant and rave and tell him to go fist himself? He's like, fuck you. I make minimum wage. You think I want to wear this mask and serve cigarettes to a bunch of deadbeats that think that, you know, this is a lab created virus and I got to hear about how Bill and Melinda Gates are trying to create a vaccine that is going to depopulate the planet? I don't get paid enough. Do you want a Mountain Dew or no? Get the fuck out. You're wasting my time. That's what that kid's thinking. But you, on the other hand, think that you have a political mission to convince other morons like yourself. Because if we're being honest, nobody's shooting for the stars is lining up to go work at a 7-Eleven. You know what I mean? Like those people that are doing something with their lives are working from home because their job matters or they're actually at a job site. You get where I'm going with this? You get what I'm saying? I'm saying that isolation camps are a great idea. And if you're not on board yet, let me explain some more great points that I'm going to let me explain some more great points that could probably put you on my side. Like I said, less traffic on the roads. And if we let that bitch run rampant, think about the pension plan in the future. Think about the Canadian pension plan. If this just completely wipes out old folks' homes, right? That pension looks better for me and you. Now say it kills me or you. That's the risk I'm willing to take. You know what I mean? Those men that were storming the beaches of Normandy knew what the fuck they were getting into. Now we know what we're getting into. We're battling something that we can't control. And at the end of the day, if it's going to take a few, if a few are just going to out of here, so that way we can ensure our pension is looking nice and tight, then hell, why not? Be a little selfish. We tried in the beginning. We did give an ounce. That's about it. An ounce of fucks in the beginning. We're like, yeah, we're in this together. Now it's back to selfishness, which I enjoy because it's pure and it's honest. Nobody's out here pretending to give a fuck about the old folks' home. No, you're not. You'll wave to grandma or mom or dad through the window, and then you just think like, we've all said it. You have not sat at home talking with your significant other at least once or twice and be like, I hope they just go peacefully soon. So that way they don't have to live like that anymore. Well, here's the perfect opportunity. Make that bitch a COVID hotbed and you get your wish. Plus, you selfish prick, you're like, oh, yeah, do I want them to go nice and softly? No, you're thinking about the little payout at the end of the funeral. You know what I mean? You're thinking about that big juicy will that grandma and grandpa, that when they saved every fucking penny that they had from 1906 to 1999 before they lost their mind, and now they're just like kind of existing in this, 1906, wow. Yeah, this person is 126 years old. Now, grandpa and grandma sitting in there and they lost their mind. They got Alzheimer's. They're just kind of shitting themselves. And you're still like, hi, Mom. Do you remember me? I'm your daughter. She thinks you're the nursing home person. It just gets ugly. It's all downhill. So that's what I'm getting at. Isolation camps ramp up the forest fire of COVID through everybody. Just a good, clean brush fire. Let's get, a little dead wood. Clean up the forest. Let the animals roam again. Let some things regrow. Let's fucking rebuild this bitch. See, I got you on my side. I can feel you nodding. And this is pure sarcasm, but I've got you right by the stranglehold. And you're thinking like, fuck yeah, this is a brilliant idea. Why isn't this man running the country? Because again, back to the point of me not caring, me not giving a shit about you. Because I would be in there for selfish reasons, for the reason every politician's in there, to line their pockets. You don't think I'm going to do that? Of course I'm going to do it. And I'll do it right in front of your face and openly say it. At the end of the day, when I'm looking at these big oil companies and they're like, listen, give me a payout and I'll slip you some under the desk. I'm like, don't even put it under the desk. Put it on top. We don't need a behind the door deal. Fucking here it is. Thanks for the fucking payout. Yeah, you're welcome. I'll take a schmilly and I'm going to go party harder than them Ford brothers out in Ontario. You want to see a political fucking mess and a PR nightmare, you're looking at them. If I got into politics, it would be a shit show. You think that you'd be scared of isolation camps? Oh boy, I'd throw you all in there. Anybody, I'd be like Joseph Stalin of Canada. You'd be like, oh, that Uncle Hack is... you'd just be about to say something bad about me. Boom, white van, isolation camp, and I'd just be fumigating the whole room, or just like having... fucking heating and ventilation systems. Like you'd think like, oh, it's nice and warm in here. That nice steam. No, it's COVID. It's COVID. It would just be everywhere. I'd take a school and you guys would have to just figure out your own lifestyle. It would be worse than prison because at least you would get fed in prison. If I ran an isolation camp and the roads would be clear, it'd be great. It'd be like, oh, what's that fucking most isolated town? What is it in like North Korea or some shit? Like they don't do anything. Like it's beautiful there, but nobody's ever on the roads. Like you just can't do anything. I'd run this motherfucker like that. If you left your house, you're getting beaten with a breadstick that was made by Carol, that bitch, or Cheryl, whichever one it was. And we will beat you to a pulp with a breadstick like we're some sick, twisted Italian mob. That's what we'd be doing. You would hate every ounce of me. And that's the world we would live in. That's the Canada I want to see. I want to see fucking more people in the isolation camps so that way I can get to Denny's and not wait in line. I can get to Denny's in under 3 to 4 minutes in the morning. Nice quick drive. And then I don't have to worry about a goddamn lineup to get to a table so I can have some undercooked eggs and overcooked pancakes. You get where I'm going? See how beautiful that sounds? Doesn't that sound great? That just sounds wonderful, doesn't it? You want to wake up and do that? You want to wake up and live the life that you were meant to live? Oh, look, so yeah. Hey, how are you? Oh, I got some people looking in the window. For those listeners that are in the pickup truck, think about that. Think about that. When you're sitting there at work right now and you're listening to this bullshit and I'm just spewing this over and over and over again and I'm amping you up about some Canadian isolation camps, think about that. I'd put you to work. Somebody's got to build the fucking thing. My blue collar bros, I got your back. But I'm probably going to throw you in the same camp that you just built. But at least you get a paycheck at the end of it, right? You wouldn't have to worry about it, not taking care of the family. They'll be fed. Because daddy got himself a nice little gig building isolation camps. It's like Bill Burr's bit where he's like talking about cruise ships, hiring people to build cruise ships, and then for population control, go and just explode the motherfucker out in the middle of the ocean while people are just like drowning and dying. But there you go. Cleared up the roads. I guess I'm kind of ripping off his bit while I'm thinking about that with the isolation camps. But it's a great form of population control. Just have COVID running rampant through these fucking isolation camps that you're going to build. I don't know how expensive we're going to go with them. Maybe we'll make them kind of state of the art. So that way you think you're doing something great. We'll say it's a community center. Yeah, put a swimming pool in it. We'll make big oil pay for it, or big tech. And then Google will sell your data to, tons of companies like AT&T, TELUS. We'll make sure the internet is completely bogged down so I can control whatever you think, and then it'll just be a giant echo chamber. Maybe that's what I'll do. Maybe I don't want you to die. I'll just have you thinking everything that I think and amplify it, pump it up a little bit, You'll be like the new Hitler Youth, but a little cooler. You know what I mean? A little cooler. We won't put you in those gay suits that they had to wear. I don't want to rip off the Nazis. They not my style. They crap my style. I just want a bunch of lunatics that would be yelling nonsense in the street and be like, Bill Gates is watching you. And they'll just scream absurd shit just to keep everybody else on their toes. You know what I mean? Be like, oh, is he a crackhead? Oh, he's part of that DC 6ix9ine shit. That's what I would want to do. Yeah. Well, that was an awkward pause. Sorry. I thought I was going to sneeze there for a second, and that would have been lovely. I would have, sneezing on this, and you're just like, oh boy, maybe he's going to go to the isolation camp. Maybe he is going to go to the isolation camp. Maybe that will happen. Maybe I would be in there. I probably would get thrown in there. I'm too much of a burden on society with podcasts like this, Thank you again to listening to the Uncle Hack podcast. I truly appreciate it. It's a lot of fun to do this. I get to just come in and be a sarcastic prick for 45 minutes to an hour every time. And it's a lot of fun for me. It's a lot of fun. I get a lot off my chest. And I don't know. Fucking rank this thing. Fucking leave a comment if you're on iTunes and you're listening to this on iTunes, leave a review. I love reading those fucking things. They're hilarious. There's not enough of them. That, and it's a way of conning you into rating the podcast so that way it gets ranked higher. That's my way of making you think that I give a shit, but meanwhile it's for my personal benefit. Or maybe I'll repost some of your reviews on my Instagram story. That's what we'll do. We'll give you something back in return. I thank you for tuning in to the Uncle Hack podcast, and tune in next week. We have Jason Rouse on the show. Again, if you're in Calgary tonight, definitely come on by to Yuck Yucks at the Elbow River Casino. Show starts at 7:30, and we'll see you there. Oh, time.